det betyder så, at klokken er 10, og vi er parat til at gå i gang med IMCF's verdensmesterskab 2017 i svær skjold. 1 mod 1 for henholdsvis mænd og kvinder. Den måde, det kommer til at foregå på, er, at hvis I ser her, så er der bygget 3 arenaer op. I de 2 yderste arenaer, der kommer mændene til at slås mod hinanden, og i den midterste kommer kvinderne til at slås mod hinanden. Og det er altså 1 mod 1 med svær skjold. Når det er 1 mod 1 kampe, så kæmper man på point. Det gælder om at ramme sin modstander med sværet og med klingen af sværet. Det gælder om at ramme den flest mulige gange og ramme den naturligvis hårdt nok, hvis man kun kan ære modstanderen lidt med klingen, så får man altså et point. Det skal være gode solide slag. Og man rammer i hovedet, kroppen, arme, ben. Det giver altså point.
I can't hear you.
No. We should be hearing what the mics are picking up and each other.
Okay.
I think we're now live.
We're live.
So welcome to day 3 of the IMCF World Championships here in Spottrup Castle in Denmark. I'm Brendan from Ireland and I'm joined by my colleague here.
My name's Heinrich from Austria, and it's a pleasure to be up here.
We got the best seat in the house.
So we're about to start with the sword and shield competition.
We're on screen now, you can see us.
It's a long day. We have a lot of fights in the sword and shield.
It's a packed category, so there's a huge amount of fights to get through. Yesterday, the longsword, everyone flew through that. It was really well organised. Hopefully we'll see the same today, get as much fighting done as quickly as possible.
There's been heaps of good fights yesterday. I'm looking forward for the level of fights today. Some really strong guys in there.
Yeah, the skill level this year has just been phenomenal, and especially I have to shout out to the female fighters. The skill there has just gone up massively. Even compared to last year, there's no comparison at all, really.
Also the results, like none of the guys that were in the finals were there last year, and it's like, wow, where did all that skill come from during the last year?
Exactly, there's huge surprises being thrown up. In my own small nation of Ireland,
That was amazing.
Picked up 2 medals yesterday. We did gold in the women's longsword and bronze medal in the men's. So we're pretty delighted by that, and it just shows what happens when you put in the effort. You don't need to be coming from a huge pool of fighters. You can get fantastic duelists from small countries.
Yeah, that's true. No, they were well deserved. It's like, I love to watch the final fights. It's just amazing.
Pretty much everything out of even nearly all the fights in the pool stages yesterday were fantastic. There were no bad fights, but just the quality of them once you got to the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, there were just so many phenomenal fights out there. And thankfully we've seen very few injuries. We had one person stretchered off in a group fight, but I think that was a precaution. He's back on site already. Other than that, seems to be relatively minor injuries. Nothing you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see, is lots of fights, but no one getting too badly injured out there.
Well, the marshals are already on their spots. Hopefully we're going to start with the first fight soon.
So who do we have in our first fights?
We have in the first. So in the first fight, on list number 1, we have South Africa and Quebec, and Belgium and Luxembourg in the preparation. On list 2, which is on the very right side of the whole list, like close to the castle, we have England and Austria actually, and Portugal and Denmark afterwards. And in the central list there is the female list with England and the USA and New Zealand and Ukraine after that.
Already straight into see some really powerful countries in there: England, USA, Ukraine, Austria. Shout out to Portugal, who are a very small country here. They've got one fighter here for this tournament. it's a long distance for a single fighter to come, but he's determined to do well over here.
Belgium and Luxembourg prepare.
I already see my Austrian fighter over there.
He's ready to go.
We had some minor changes because it was about Joji Ishikawa was actually meant to fight, but after a long day in the long swords and in the Buhurt yesterday, he had to drop out. And so now we have Philipp Pfleger from the Steel City from Linz, who is doing the sword and shield for us.
I'm sure he's delighted to have a chance to get into the list to represent Austria in the duels.
Absolutely. Good that he didn't get drunk yesterday after the Austrians dropped out of every other competition, because all the others are pretty much still wasted.
That's why you got to hold off until the last night. Then you can really let yourself go.
True.
So we got
The first fight's about to
list
start.
number 1.
South Africa and Quebec.
And straight away right into it. Good movement from both fighters using the shields well.
I like the fist handle of the Quebec guy's shield. It's like gives him more distance, but
Yeah, I have seen those shields used really effectively. You would think that they're too easy to maybe knock out of the hand, or they hang heavier on the arm, but it's keeping it light and mobile.
it's quite hard to control them with this single handle. But I've seen the US guys using them a lot.
And I know a lot of the Canadians last year were using them, so it might have been something that he picked up from them. So we have Henry fighting for South Africa in there, and for Quebec,
It's Eli.
Eli from Quebec. That's the first round over already, straight back into their corners.
That was fast.
That's 60 seconds out here watching the fight seems like nothing. In there it's a different story. It seems a whole lot longer, and that 60 seconds break seems a whole lot shorter. But now if you've been watching for the last 3 days, I'm sure you're already up to speed on this, but maybe you're just tuning in for the first time. These fights are really exhausting. Might not look like much, but these guys are in supreme physical condition. To get out there at all and fight for even just one 60-second round is absolutely exhausting. And when you have the sun beating down on you like it is today, it's not too hot yet, but it's going to get hotter.
It's going to get a lot hotter today. I think someone said it's going to be the hottest day in the whole week.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So England and Austria are getting ready on list number 2.
So hopefully you got to see some of the action in list number 2 now as they're just about to kick off.
Our marshals ready. Timer ready. Fighters, are you ready?
And in list number 3, we've got our female fighters getting ready to go. USA versus England there. But here's the action in list number 2. Very good movement there from England.
Good footwork, yeah. That's really fast.
Now, some shots coming in there on the Austrian fighter's head, but I think some of them might have landed with the flat. It'd be hard to tell from up here.
Hard to see even for the marshals.
Yeah, the marshals have a
tough
job. And they can only count the hits that they see. Good.
Fast
Get
hits.
combinations in there. The Austrian defense is very good.
That was a strong hit.
Hear that the sound of a clean hit. Dinging off the helmet.
And that was the first round.
And we already have loads of action in list number 3 with the women. We've got the women pushed up against the rails. USA and England. So hopefully we'll get to see the action in list number 3 in a moment. I'll switch cameras. But at the moment we're just watching the fighters getting some advice from their corner what they need to do.
Guy in the white shirt, Joji Shikawa, national team trainer of Austria, giving some advices. Hopefully we switch to list number 3. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. USA versus England.
A lot of infight there.
A physical fight, trying to push each other down, and the round has been stopped. So it's the time up.
Number 1.
But those few seconds you saw there were typical of the rest of the round. Very physical, shoving each other up against the barriers.
Afgørelse herovre i Sydafrika mod Quebec. Længst væk fra borgen.
We have Dale, one of our fellow commentators, giving advice to the American fighter.
Og med 2 runder vundet, det er Quebec, der løber med sejren.
In list number 1, Belgium and Luxembourg male fighters, please report to the list.
We had a decision on list 1, but there was so much action going on that we didn't manage to catch who won it.
Second round, list number 2. Austria against England.
With 3 lists going here, it can be difficult for us to keep up the speed, but we'll try and keep you posted as much as we can see.
We'll need 2 more commentator teams actually, and a lot more cameras.
Yeah. So that English fighter's dancing around well. I think the action's a little bit slowed down, a little more cautious this round, but still a dynamic fight.
We still have a couple of more fights after that. It's better to save some energy.
Yeah, there's no point burning out in your first fight. If you can secure a win, doesn't matter if you win by 1 point, you win the match.
That's true. I love his right-left combinations. Out of his wrist.
There is great action there on his wrist. He's getting
Really fast.
changing up well, going high-low shots as well. And we're back to, we've got action kicking off again in list number 3 with the women. And then in list number 1, we have Luxembourg versus Belgium. Laurent of Luxembourg versus Gauthier of Belgium. Now these guys have been fighting each other for years, and hopefully get to see a bit of action there in a while. But right now we're on list number 3. See the Americans shouting advice from their corner.
The girls look pretty even.
They do seem quite evenly matched, and even in their style seems quite similar. And now we're on to list number 1 with Luxembourg versus Belgium. Both these fighters have already fought in the tournament, in the duels.
It's been this for quite some years.
They're very experienced fighters, the 2 of them. Gauthier fought yesterday in the longsword. Laurent fought on Thursday in the polearm, and both did very well.
Very steady.
But these guys are extremely familiar with each other's styles.
And that was round number 1.
It's a bit more of a tactical fight because they're so familiar. Just looking for gaps in each other's defenses.
Waiting for the other guy to make a mistake.
Exactly. And you see in the bottom of your screen there, just try to fan some cool air into Laurent's helmet for him, cool him down.
I think we have a decision on list number 2. That victory goes to England.
England, after 2 rounds, take the fight. What a good match. So again, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the rules here, this works based off points, kind of like boxing. If you land a solid blow, you get a point. We got hit counters in each corner, 2 on each fighter, and a referee in the middle. You got 60 seconds per round. If you score more points in a round, you win that round. So the first fighter to win 2 rounds cleanly wins the fight.
And we're on for a decision, list number 3, and it's England takes the win against USA.
2 wins for England, and 1 each in the men and women's. And she looked delighted with herself. And we're just about to kick off round number 2 in list 1, Luxembourg versus Belgium.
Please report to the list. Ukraine and New Zealand.
That's a lot of waiting there.
List number 3. Italy and
And even in the polearm, Laurent of Luxembourg he's a very cautious fighter. He likes to wait for his opponent to move. It seems to be how he's fighting here as well.
That was a solid blow.
That was a good strike, powerful strike from Luxembourg.
And another one.
Luxembourg fighting in the blue and white. A solid hit there from Belgium. You can hear that clang. Seems to be a little shuffle from Laurent. He's quite happy there.
He's teasing his opponent.
And that's the round. And so it's round 2 over in list number 1. And in list number 2, we're just about to kick off with Portugal versus Denmark.
Portugal wearing white with the blue symbols.
And Denmark are going to have the home crowd cheering for them, I don't doubt. And the crowd here is already building up. Even though the fighting has only just started, the stands are starting to fill up. I can guarantee in the next hour or so they'll be jam-packed.
List number 3, we have Ukraine and France. Oh no, it's New Zealand, I'm sorry.
Confused
Just
by
seen
that.
the blue shield.
Blue and yellow shields.
Ukraine and New Zealand, list number 3. Second fight for the ladies. And Portugal and Denmark going.
I know the Portuguese fighter is new.
Nuno?
No, Nuno is a captain there in the corner.
Oh yeah, right.
But he's a new fighter here to this year. I think he might have fought in the group fights last year. But he's
Ivo
still relatively
Afonso?
new. But he seems to have, he's come here for a fight. He's not afraid of his Danish opponent.
Going for his legs. And he lands some solid blows on the head.
For Denmark, we have Peter fighting out there. Peter Dahl Sorensen. And just off screen there in list number 3, we have the Ukrainian fighter on the ground. Not sure exactly what happened. She's slow to get up. And she's back up on her feet. But if I'm not mistaken, this is her 3rd day of fighting, so she's doing well to be standing on her feet at all. It's very exhausting.
And they're going to continue.
They're about to kick off again in
On the screen you see
list 3.
the Danish giving some advice in the break between first and second round. There's a lot of action in list number 3 actually. I'd love to switch the cameras over there.
The fight has just ended there. The round is over. There was a little confusion about whether the round had ended or not. The Ukrainian didn't seem to notice the yellow flag coming in. Being controlled by Martin Casey. He's the head referee in that list. Man, gloriously dressed in his beautiful silk clothing.
Really fancy.
With a fancy mustache to match. He's always one of the best dressed men on the list. And we're just about to get ready for round 2 in list number 2. And the action has stopped in the other 2 lists for the moment. You can see there in list number 1, they're trying to fan Luxembourg and Belgium's fighters, cool them off.
Marshals are discussing like for quite a while now.
It could be a very close score. You don't want any errors coming up in these fights. If it's a close match, you're going to look very closely at the scores. The head referee in each list has the final say. It's down to them to call the result. We're getting ready for round 2 here in list 3. Or 2, sorry.
List number 2, yeah. Portugal and Denmark in for round number 2.
Hear the sound of those hits.
Denmark lost his sword.
A bit of confusion about the rules there. I think he was worried he was going to still be hit. Because if in the group fights, if you lose your weapon, you can't attack, but you can still be hit. But in the duels, the fight is stopped until you get your weapon back. There is a point against Denmark for
Is it 1
being
point?
designed.
Or
I
is
think it's 1 point in Sword and Shield.
they're going for the legs?
Both trying to hack under the shields. It can be hard to defend against those low shots, but it does leave you open to headshots down on top.
Especially when you can't raise your shield properly. All the pushing.
Both fighters there being fairly physical, up against the rails. Denmark being pushed back, shield in his face, trying to get around it.
Oh.
Land points. He's
All right, so a
seeing
lot
his
of
legs
hits to the
coming off the
legs.
ground. There's some of those.
That might cost him the round.
Some of those shots will have been too light to score, but I think he might have still landed a good number of blows there. That will count.
And that was the second round.
Think a
It's
good
hard,
round.
hard to say from our perspective who scored more points in this round.
Yeah, we can call the fights up here, but we can often get it wrong because we're not at the best angle to see what the marshals are seeing. And from up here, what might look like a solid blow, it might have glanced off the weapon or the shield or slid down the body. It might have landed with the flat. Might have been too close to the hilt of the weapon.
We can just guess.
We can just guess and get it horribly wrong most of the time.
Or we're good at guessing. That's
it's-
all right.
I know as part of the drinking game they made out of the commentary last year was drink every time the commentators call a fight wrong. So we'll keep up that tradition this year.
Well, in Japan, it's already after work, and in Australia and New Zealand, so some people might drink already.
It's the weekend anyway, you can relax.
Oh, true. Yeah, it's Saturday.
And we're going for round 3 in list number 3 between New Zealand and, oh, we have a result there from Luxembourg and Belgium. Luxembourg win it. There's two fighters, little run there from Gauthier to get to the right side of the marshal. Two fighters congratulating each other, both happy with a good fight. Round 3 in list number 3. Well, we've got the action here. Third round in list number 2 as well.
Canada and Australia.
And the crowd really getting behind their fighter now. You can hear them chanting for Denmark.
It's a great honor to fight as a duelist for your country while hosting the World Championship in your own country. It's like
It's a dream for a lot of fighters, I think. I know how proud I was to walk out into the field representing Ireland, and then if I could imagine doing it in Ireland at the World Championships, like you say, a dream come true. I think he might have an injury from the Portuguese fighter. He seems to have slowed down. No, I think he's okay. They're just being rattled by one of those shots. He's trying to cover his head.
some really tough 2 rounds.
They're on to round 3 now and slowing down, getting tired. Especially that second round, both fighters would have used up so much energy.
This crowd's going crazy.
You can hear the cheers from them. Both fighters breathing heavily. I think they used up an awful lot of energy in round 2, and maybe Portugal used up a bit too much. Doesn't have the stamina to keep going. He was a little slow in that round. But like we say, incredibly tough to be out there and getting stuck in like that. And the helmet has come off Portugal. Just trying to cool him down. If he has to go another round, they'll put it back on, but that might be at the end of the fight. We got helmets off in list number 3 for the women. And then in list number 1, we've got Wales and Japan preparing to start. Just come up out and they've touched swords.
Wales.
So the
Daniel Chop Sinclair and Norman from Japan are fighting in list number 1.
Daniel Chop Sinclair. Let's see him if he can chop down Japan. Yep, that Japanese fighter, very small.
Oh, really fast.
He was working as a runner in the group fights. He's a bit too light for that, I think, in the group fights. He gets knocked down a bit too easily, but he's doing well out here. That big
Japanese-
shield covering most of his body.
Japanese fighters are really tough.
They have so much heart. They just keep pushing and pushing.
List number 3, Italy and France, female fighters.
Now they're both waiting.
Eyeing each other up. Japanese fighter trying to get over the shield of the Welshman. Decided it was better to start going down low. When you have a height difference like this, it might seem like the bigger fighter has the clear advantage, but it becomes a lot harder for a taller fighter to defend his legs against a short fighter. We got a decision
Good.
here in list number 2, and it goes to Denmark.
Denmark takes the victory.
What a fight they can both be proud of, I think.
They did well, yeah. List number 3, we have France and Italy, female fighters.
And Sweden, male fighters. Please report to the list.
So just
Ukraine,
getting into that corner, getting the last bit of advice
report to list number 2.
from their supporters.
And Ireland, prepare.
So for France, we have fighting for the women. If I can find the name. Oh, it's Julie. We've got Julie fighting for France in list number 3. We've got some highlights up on the screen there from that last fight. You can see how physical that fight got between Portugal and Denmark.
List number 2, we have Ukraine and Sweden, both in blue and yellow.
In quite similar shades. I'm sure we'll manage to tell them apart.
Oh, we just got delivered some Hancock Cola.
Nice cool drinks up here. Got the best seat in the house. Nice drink now. What else would you be doing on a Saturday?
Oh, it's lovely up here.
Now, the action is kicking off in list number 2 and list number 3 right now. And there we go, list number 2. Sweden versus Ukraine. Sweden with the cross on their shield. And list number 3, France. Julie of France against Italy. Julie was fighting in longsword yesterday. Good, great fighter.
Back on list number 2 with William from Sweden.
That's list number 3 again. Switching action up and back to list number 2. You get little snippets of action that you can see it's all go here. We're kicking off in list number 1 as well. It's too much action to keep track of here. The best way to see it is to come over to Denmark and watch it live.
Yeah, right. Trip to Denmark is absolutely worth it, especially for the grand finals tomorrow and the
Yeah.
16-16.
So that round's over. Good round from both fighters. As, both keeping their guard up well, and we're back to list number 1. Wales and Japan.
Japan and Wales. Japan has actually pretty different rule sets for their one-on-one fighting. It's more similar to professional fights with kicking and wrestling and stuff. That's why they use more punch shields than triangular shields for the one-on-one.
And I believe they also use weight categories as well.
Yes, which is actually a good idea.
It is a good idea, especially in Japan, where there can be a massive difference in size and height between maybe a lot of the bigger people in the Japanese team are expats from elsewhere in the world. Japanese people, on average, tending to be smaller. And then, of course, they do have Ami, who isn't here this year, but he is, I think, about
Godzilla-san,
14 foot tall or so.
he's really, really big. Round number 2, list number 3, and round number 2 and list number 2. We see the Japanese giving some advice to Norman. Oh, it's helmets off, I guess.
So it looks like we have a decision there. Tony
we
in
see.
his corner taking the helmet off for him.
De har fordelen af, at de har dyrket den her sport væsentligt længere end resten af alle andre.
Good sportsmanship.
Derudover så har
Across the board, that's what you've seen in this tournament. One of the best things about the sport in general is the camaraderie involved in it.
professionelle. Herhjemme i Danmark, der vil pigerne være heldige, hvis de kan få dækket reparationerne.
And the victory goes to Wales.
Dean Chop Sinclair, he managed to chop down Japan. And they both seem quite happy with it.
I seem to enjoy the fight.
Norman of Japan, you'd think a strong breeze would blow him down, but he was out there and giving as good as he got.
That was round number 2. List number 2, Ukraine and Sweden.
The Ukrainian seems very comfortable there. You can see the visor of the Swedish fighter being raised. On the other side of the list, the Ukrainian seems quite happy, chatting with his crew, ready to go for the next round. Well, we've got helmets off, so that's a decision made.
Do you have his name somewhere? Because I remember him at a tournament in Austria in Dürengrod in 2012. He was fighting the Sword and Shield there as well.
And I think he also fought in Portugal at the IMCF World Championship.
Yeah, right,
last
sure.
year.
He was presenting Ukraine last year.
I don't think we have the Ukrainians' names. Only some countries submitted them. We might have missed some. If you happen to know this fighter's name,
And the victory
feel free
goes to
submit it.
Ukraine.
A well-deserved victory there.
I think it's actually really good that Ukraine made it here to the IMCF to participate. It's like,
It's fantastic to see him in turning out in force.
yeah.
And in the women's list there, we had Italy versus France, and the win, I'm fairly certain, went to France on that one.
If we're wrong, someone probably
Someone will
is
correct
drinking
us.
already.
So we've got
Oh, we have Australia in list number 1 and
Canada.
Australia, one-man army, Eric Cortis.
There's a long way to come on his own to fight, but he's determined.
He's
It's
been
his
fighting.
third day of fighting.
He's been fighting all the single nominations for Australia here.
And he seems to be eager to get stuck in again.
Samuel from Canada is his opponent. Or is it?
It is Land
Ah,
Pearson.
Lam Pearson. I'm sorry.
There's a couple of Pearson brothers on the Canadian team. They're from the Yukon in Canada. Very determined fighters. And Australia, we have
Eric Cortis.
Eric Cortis.
Eric Cortis has been traveling a lot during the last month. Mexico, Battle of the Nations, Colo Heroes. He's going to KMM and so on and so on.
And after all this fighting, he still seems full of energy.
18 years old, man.
Can't remember what it was like to be that young and quite that energetic.
Good blow to the legs. He actually never did the Sword and Shield before.
He's doing well.
That's why he's using a punch shield and a falchion. He's a sick cunt.
You can't doubt his enthusiasm.
And he's so fast. He was training with Igor Pafentiev and Buhur Technologies a lot. Went to his workshop in Belmonte.
He might need a little bit more control in the shots. Some of his shots he's
Yes.
winding up too much and giving the Canadian a chance to duck and
Or-
land a counter shot.
A bigger shield would do the job as well.
That would also help. In list number 2, we have Ireland versus Italy. Two quite similar flags being waved. Be easy to
Oh,
confuse
yeah,
the two
true.
of them.
And list number 3, we have Estonia and South Africa.
Stephanie of South Africa. And again, for the women, a lot of our lists for the women's names have been confused, printed out in a strange way. It's possibly Ella. But if we're wrong, please correct us. You can,
We're very sorry. Lists are weird. We have to
they were printed
switch
very oddly.
pages and there's no frames and stuff and whatever.
We know what country they're from, and we know that they're fighting. Eyeing each other up for a moment there, and the round is over.
There's a fighter from Ireland.
That is Anthony Power from Ireland in list number 2. It is his first time representing Ireland in the duels at the World Championships.
Canada and Australia are going strong in the second round.
And hear the sound of the shots ringing out from it. High intensity. Eric is still dancing around that list. Dan Pearson is quite happy to stand there and wait for him to come into him.
Oh, there's a lot of good blows from the Canadian. Taking this a little more steady and landing straight blows.
Maybe conserving his energy a bit better.
I think no one told Eric that he has more fights after that one.
Good shot coming into the head.
When I came over here, Eric asked me about saying, Heinrich, can you tell me the rules for the sword and shield?
Well, at least he asked what the rules were instead of making up his own. And that's time in that round. And a bit of a hug between the two fighters. From what I saw there, I'd have to give it to Canada.
Yes, I guess so.
And list number 2, Ireland versus Italy. And Anthony Power there is always a brawler.
Going for the legs.
We nickname him the Honey Badger. Because he does not care. He will fight anyone, doesn't care how big they are. He got thrown into the dirt there, but they both went down.
I guess that's no points for anyone.
Yeah, if you knock your opponent to the ground, it's a point for you.
Well, it's just 1 point. So basically, it's not really worth the effort.
Sometimes, if you're good, you can knock a fighter down easily, and it's quite demoralizing to have to get up out of the dirt.
True.
But you will quite often see fighters who can get obsessed with it, trying to throw down an opponent and end up using way too much energy. Sometimes while their opponent is racking up points on their legs. Anthony's shoving him up onto the rails, trying to get around that shield. The Italian fighter now trying to switch it around. He's back out into the open ground. It's a real slugfest out there.
A lot of grappling, a lot of hugging. And the victory on list number 1 goes to Canada. But Eric gave the Canadian guy a really tough fight.
Not surprised on the result, but a fantastic fight.
Poland and Germany male fighters.
And I can imagine a fight that both of them were really enjoying.
Eric has a smile on his face, so
That's what it's about. And Anthony being fanned there and given some advice from Killian Meehan of Ireland. And in list number 1, we have Poland versus Germany coming in.
it's Marcin Vashkelis.
And for Germany, we have the name on one of our many lists here. For Germany, it's Johannes Brooks. Now this is certainly a list to watch now, list number 1. Marcin Vashkelis.
Several times IMCF world champion.
He's got a whole drawer full of medals at home. Shelves full of them. Very
He
experienced
just had
fighter.
a surgery in his left shoulder a couple of months back. So yesterday he said he's not sure if he can raise his shield. Well, I think he should do.
I imagine once he gets out there, he'll find the energy for it.
Once the adrenaline kicks in, pain is gone.
That's something to worry about after the fighting's over. And here we go with next round, round 2 in list number 2, Ireland versus Italy. Round 3.
Spain and Quebec female fighters. Please report to the list. Spain.
You can see that dust being kicked up there. Makes for a dramatic scene, but be quite difficult to fight in when you start breathing in that dust.
Especially all the marshals are breathing dust for the last 3 days.
Not good for the lungs. Like more grappling and shoving in that fight. Gonna work around the guard.
Good shot to the leg.
10 seconds left in the round. Can either of them get an extra couple of points in?
Pommel striking. Is there points for pommel striking?
No points in sword and shield for pommel striking. There are points in long sword if you have 2 hands in the weapon, but not in sword and shield. But it can still hurt. And in list number 1, we're just ready to kick off. List number 3, we have Spain and Quebec.
First round, Poland and Germany.
And here we go. Marcin is always a beautiful mover. So fluid.
That was a good one.
So these quick whipping strikes.
We had some training seminars with Marcin during the last years. He's a great trainer.
We've had him over in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
This is the reputation that he has. There's a lot of countries. He's also trained the Canadians, I think, as well.
Traveled to South Africa, I think. He's a good trainer and an amazing athlete.
A really nice guy as well.
And fast. Oh my God, he's so fast.
I think that was a good point from Germany there. We can keep talking about how great Poland is, but that German fighter is in there getting stuck in with him.
And the victory on list number 2 goes to Ireland.
Ireland against Italy. Ireland win it.
Congratulations.
Delighted. Thank you. We're on our way to another medal.
Round number 1, list number 1's over.
And in list number 3, Quebec versus Spain. It's Benet of Quebec. Was, yeah, Benedicta Robital. She goes by Benet. Experienced fighter as well. She's taken home medals from the World Championships before. I think she's a gold medalist for the last 2 years. I could be wrong in that.
I think so too.
She won gold last year, certainly. So one to watch.
In list number 2, England and Denmark male fighters. Please report.
Round 2 in list number 1 about to kick off between Germany and Poland.
Please report to list number 2.
Germany with a slight height advantage. He can try and use his reach. You can see Marcin's going down nice and low. He'll try and get low shots around the shield. But with him, you can get shots coming in from any direction, really.
I could watch that guy fight the whole day. It's like his footwork, how his hands move, it's just amazing.
He's just supremely confident in there, comfortable.
10 plus years of experience. Uncountable number of tournaments fought.
You see even a little nod from the German there to acknowledge a decent strike to the head.
Yeah.
German fighter trying to get under the guard of Marcin. So good blocks from Germany there.
And that was the second round.
Over so quickly.
1 minute is really, if you watch it, it's not a lot of time.
Yeah. Interesting stance from England in list number 2. Seems to be quite a deep, wide squat. Fighting against Denmark. Denmark has a holding crowd behind them. A good combination there from England. The first shot might have been blocked, but the second one got through. That's what you have to go for. It's no good doing one shot at a time, because so often you'll see them coming and you'll block the first one. Those combinations are where you see points getting racked up. Shots coming in return there from Denmark. Landed on the head, might have glanced off.
Just heard victory for Poland in list number 1.
And there you can see Fighters hugging it out.
In list number 1, New Zealand.
And time in list number 2.
New Zealand and Japan.
List number 3, we're getting ready for the second round.
Quebec versus Spain. So Peter of Denmark there taking on water, getting some advice from his trainers, his coaches. They're going to have been watching what the English fighter was doing. Sometimes when you're in the middle of the fight, it can be hard to see what your opponent is actually doing. They're going to be offering him advice.
That's why it's important that you have your coach close to the list, that he's your witness. And
even if all your coach does is tell you to shut up, stop complaining, and get back in there, sometimes that can be all you need.
yes.
I'm too tired, I can't go on. Well, you're going back in, I don't care. And sometimes
coaches are there to lie to you. It's like, come on, just one more fight. If it's 3 or 4 fights left, come on, just do one more fight.
Just do another one. Just do one more.
Come on, just one more.
Good strikes from England there. Good high-low combinations and another one there. First one hit the shield, second one hit the leg. Denmark going for shots in return, but I think he might have taken a bit of a beating there.
It's a little problem raising his shield, I think.
Does seem to have trouble getting it up high.
England guys,
Tag
really
on the
fast.
head there. Some of his blows a little bit light though, but if you're getting enough shots going in, enough will be of good enough quality.
Good one to the legs.
Attack there to the head. He does seem to be having trouble with that shield. I think Denmark would prefer to be up in close.
Yeah.
But the English fighter is a very good mover.
Did they just talk to each other? Looked like I was like, oh, come on, man.
Sometimes you get that. But especially when you get stuck in a grapple, you'll have a little conversation and hugging it out. But this big list, this year, it's really benefiting movers.
Yes.
It's harder for some grapplers to pin you down. Japan against New Zealand. And that's Dean Sinclair of New Zealand.
And Norman.
Norman of Japan. Dean Sinclair, when he's not fighting in armor, is a power lifter. So he's got plenty of power to draw upon. And as we're saying about movers enjoying the space in here, he's a man to keep away from. I've had to fight him, and what he'll do is he'll just get you in a corner, lean on you, and just start wailing on your legs.
Just stay away from that guy.
And when a power lifter leans on you, you stay leaned on. And we got a decision coming up in list number 2, between England and Denmark. And it goes to England.
Well deserved. He's
Well
really
deserved.
fast.
He's a very good mover. And round 2 in list number 1 is kicked off between New Zealand and Japan.
In list number 2, France and Finland, male fighters.
Dean from New Zealand going for high-low combinations against Norman.
He pushed him against the rail.
It'll be very hard for him to get out of that position.
And that was the time.
And a bow from Norman of Japan.
What else do we have? We see
In list number 3, we have Ireland and Germany. Representing Ireland, we got Lara, Lightning Lara, who won gold yesterday. And for Germany, if I can find my sheets, double check.
a lot of paper on our table here. Melanie, right? No,
For-
Denise.
We have Denise
Bergman.
Bergman. Denise Bergman representing Germany and Lara of Ireland.
Denise is fighting with the round shield.
Lara with the more standard triangular heater shield. Cautious at the moment. And now the action's kicked off. Nice bursts.
Both very technical.
And Germany scored a point there with a nice shot to the head. Return shots coming in from both sides. The German fighter, a left-hander, like me, which can confuse fighters, right-handed fighters. It generally makes for a more aggressive fight because the sword sides are both quite unprotected.
But on the other hand, if you're used to fighting left-handers, like not
Which
real advantage.
most of the Irish team are used to that because we've got at least 3 left-handers on our in our teams. And the visors coming up there. Cool down the fighters. Fanning Lara there, try and get her relaxed.
List number 2, we have Finland and France. A lot of swings to the legs, a lot of moving.
Konter waren alle drin, meiner Meinung nach.
Ja, waren sie auch.
Sie hat dich auch.
Also du machst alles.
See some talking between the German coach or captain, I don't know, and Denise.
You get the advice coming in. And we're still going in list number 1. Now we're back onto list number 2. You can see there's great action there. It's a good back and forth fight. And that's a round over bow from the Finnish fighter.
List number 1, there's some the marshals.
And again, Deem trying to shove his opponent back in. You can see that. Just about to switch camera to there. You can see the action now. Norman trying to back up and get some space. It's a bit of a David and Goliath fight. Dean might not be the tallest of fighters, but he is a very big guy.
10 seconds. Did I say 10 seconds?
Coming up towards the end of that round.
Oh, some strong
Dean got
hits.
up against the rails again. And that's time on that round. And list number 3, it's about to kick off again between Ireland and Germany.
Round.
Lara of Ireland versus Denise of Germany.
German duelists, male and female, are really, really strong. Always been. They have some very good trainers in Germany. They travel a lot.
And actually, Lara has been over to Germany to train with them.
Really?
Yeah, went to a training seminar last year, and which could be why they both seem to have quite similar styles when they've got their guard up. That high guard and good movement in there. I've been so impressed with the quality of the female fighters this year. It's gone up exponentially. And the number of countries fielding female fighters as well, getting higher and higher. Nearly every country has women representing them now. Up against the rails now.
Shots to the
Hacking
legs.
down onto the legs. And Lara pushed down.
And they stepped it.
I think there was a moment there when Lara's knee touched the ground, or certainly came close to it. I'm not sure if that will be counted as a knockdown. The refs and hit counters will have had a much better view of that than us. And the man fanning Lara there is Peter Postel, Peter the Machine Postel. He won bronze in longsword yesterday for Ireland.
List number 1, we have a decision. Victory goes to New Zealand.
It was a great fight though, and I have to say I'm impressed with Japan's performance in that. He held up against the pressure of Dean Sinclair in New Zealand really well. Getting pushed back, he was pushing back just as hard.
You can hear Germans talking. Close to the microphone.
You can see they're using the flag to try and keep their fighter out of the sun for as long as possible. Try and get them a bit of shade and a bit of cool air blown into them.
Oh, it's slowly getting more and more hot out there.
and it's plenty hot in the armor, even
What's
if it's
the
a winter's
third
day.
round?
Third round in list number 3.
They're really even.
They are, and like I say, Lara probably more used to fighting left-handers than Denise of Germany would like. As a lefty, I know how much I
was
enjoy
good.
that advantage.
Good shot to the knee.
Yeah. Denise of Germany shoving back, circling around, both trying to get an advantage. Lara's got the shield up into the German fighter's face.
I don't see the advantage of a round shield in the sword and shield competition. I prefer the
Well, I think
triangular
it
shield.
can leave you a bit hard to protect you from really low shots. It all comes down to personal preference, what you're happy fighting with.
That's true.
Good shot to the head there from Ireland. But great flurries coming in on both sides. Hard to keep track.
I can't say who won that round.
No, it was close.
Maybe Ireland was a little bit ahead, but can't say.
We're not going to make a claim and be wrong.
No. We don't force spectators to drink.
They're going to have to work harder for the drinking game this year. And
Australia and South Africa in list number 1.
good Southern Hemisphere matchup.
Oh yeah, true.
Like a matchup like that shows you
Oh,
how
South Africa
international this
lost
is.
his sword.
Very careless of him. So you can hear the ref shouting out that there's a disarm point for Australia. So Henry of South Africa versus Eric of Australia. That's the round over, back into their corners. Eric is sitting up on top of the rails, relaxing.
That's just too much energy.
He's just hyped up on sugar.
Probably had a lot of this Hancock cola. I don't know if Hancock is a local brewery. They make quite decent beer as well. I don't know if they're sponsoring this tournament, but if they do, thank you very much, Mr. Hancock.
Keeping the fighters and the commentators fueled up and full of energy.
I think it's Joji Ishikawa from Austria coaching him, because Eric is all alone here, right? So he has no support. Has a lot of friends here from all over the world, but no one else is here. He's representing Australia all by himself.
He's actually in the same position that South Africa was in last year.
Yeah, true.
One fighter from South Africa last year, and he did absolutely fantastic. And Ireland win in list number 3 against Germany. Hopefully the first of many for Ireland.
I'm not saying congratulations again, because otherwise I have to do it at every fight that Ireland wins, and that's going to get
There's going to be a
boring
lot of
for the
those, I can
spectators.
tell you. We're fueled up on potatoes and whiskey.
Female fighters, please report to list.
I love this St. Patrick's Day photo shooting you did. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago, we did a photo showing our the secret Irish training regime.
Yeah, right. With the
Punching
potatoes.
bags of potatoes,
Love
eating
it.
raw potatoes, chopping potatoes in half, chugging down whiskey. Sometimes you have to give in to the stereotypes. But let's get back to the action here in list number 1. Springbok versus the kangaroo. We're going for.
Call it the kangaroo from the flag. It's punchy. They awarded me with a little punchy in 2014.
Oh, good headshot there from South Africa, from Henry of South Africa. And another one. And that third one might have been a little light to count.
That was a strong one. Well, going with a punch shield and the falchion into the sword and shield competition is probably like taking a knife to a gunfight. But Eric is taking it like a man.
He's doing really well for someone
Yes.
who's been fighting non-stop for
Days, for
Days on
weeks,
end.
actually.
In list number 2, we have Scotland versus USA. So it's Guillermo of Scotland, and for USA, we have Brandon
Knight. The right name for this sport.
That is an auspicious name. So the American fighter right there, dispensing some freedom on Guillermo of Scotland.
Andre Sinew, team captain.
He's not on
With
screen
them.
there. You can see the
Oh yeah, you see.
Scottish support trying to keep their fighter cool, out of the sun for as long as possible.
Covering him with a
There's Andre Sinew, the
cozy
American
blanket.
team captain.
Yeah, just lean forward. Is that helping?
They're making a slight adjustment to
the helmet.
Brandon's helmet. And in list number 3, we have England versus Ukraine. A decision there, but I'm not sure which way it went in list number 1. I think it went to South Africa.
I'm afraid it did. I'm afraid it did.
And we've another round shield in list 3. A few people seeming to favor the round shield over more traditional shapes.
I'm amazed at how many female fighters Ukraine has. It's like they had a team for the Buhurts at the Battle of the Nations a couple of weeks back. They have a lot of female fighters here too.
We want to see more female fighters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see 16 versus 16 women.
Can't wait for the day when they finally get their 5-on-5 instead of the 3-on-3.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And good action there. I fought Guillermo last year at the World Championships.
Yeah.
Seems to have really been practicing. This is a different fighter out there. I haven't seen Brandon Knight fight before, but he has the right name for it, as we said. We'll see if he'll say good night to Scotland.
Actually, US fighter is wearing a white gambeson, and I don't see a lot of armor on his arm, especially the gaps on his forearm between his elbow.
He's got
Like, quite big.
quite sizable gaps there, but the marshals have obviously decided he's covered enough.
Maybe he's using some hidden protection.
And a
I
fist
wouldn't
bump
use,
between
I
the two
wouldn't use
fighters.
that. I really like the ability to grab things, not getting hurt.
I like to not be hurt in the fights. I'm soft like that. Some fighters seem to relish getting hurt. And really trying to cool down Guillermo and Brandon. Seems quite calm and collected there, resting his arms up on the rail. Not sitting on top of it and stretching out like Eric was earlier for Australia. We've got list number 3 here, England and Ukraine.
Still going. Ukraine has a very small shield. It must be way below the allowed maximum diameter for round shields. Most of them are wearing the similar armor, like the same helmets, all optimized for Buhurts or
Identical warriors
like
out in the field.
looking like a clone army. But on the other hand, it's hard for the other teams to find out who's who and like who's the strong guy from the previous round.
And I know that one of the New Zealand clubs, the Steel Thorns, do the exact same thing as well.
Right.
There's all clones on the battlefield. They even started swapping weapons when they realized that's how people were predicting, working out who was in the armor. List number 1, Germany and Belgium. Again, similar flags. Gauthier of Belgium against Johannes Brooks of Germany. And that fight goes to USA. Very little protection on that fighter's arms.
In list number 2, Denmark and Spain.
But a good performance from Scotland. I think they can be proud of that. He did very well out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
USA are always going to be tough. They've got a huge pool of fighters to draw from, and
And
they're very competitive within their own country. Some of their fighters will never compete outside the country. They can still be top notch.
yeah. Most of them come from the SCA.
Yeah, so they
Years and years of experience in SCA fighting, which is good for the dual categories.
high intensity here in list number 3.
I think it's already third round.
Yes, it is. So everything to play for here.
Good shot to the legs.
English fighter using their shield to push back the Ukrainian.
Oh, I love the Sword and Shield nomination.
And you might hear the raise in volume. That's because Denmark has entered the list again in list number 2. He's going to be fighting Spain in a moment. But I'll stick with the action here. Dying seconds of round 3. Last few shots that can rain in. Pushing back with those shields. That last shot from Ukraine hit the English fighter's shield, so that won't be a point. Back to their corners to rest and recuperate. They might have to fight another round. You always have to be prepared for that. Sometimes fights can go on and go on, especially when you get drawn rounds. And when you get tired, you're more likely to get drawn rounds. And sometimes fights can come down to which fighter is willing to go out for their 6th round or 7th round.
So we see list number 2, Denmark, and you said Spain?
Spain, I think it is. There's Spanish support out there. You see the Spanish surcoat. He's not wearing a surcoat, but
I'm not a big fan of duelists not wearing surcoats. I think it should be mandatory to wear at least a belt tag or something in the colors of your country that can be identified.
You're out there representing your country. Denmark out, brawling now. Good duck there from the Spanish fighter, ducked a headshot. Ukraine have won in list number 3. And we've got a decision coming up in list number 2. The Spanish fighter pounding on the legs here.
Oh,
An issue there with the Danish fighter.
I think he lost his sword.
So we have a result coming up in list number 1 between Belgium and Germany. Gauthier of Belgium versus Johannes
Goes to Germany.
of Germany. He wins it.
Number 3, Italy and Estonia. In this
A rules discussion here going on with the Spanish fighter in list number 2.
There's a small line between punching with the edge of your shield and pushing with the flat side of the shield. It can be hard to see.
Happened very accidentally that you land a punch, especially when you get in a big brawl like this.
Yeah.
Both fighters hacking down on the legs. The Spanish fighter trying to change it up and go high. Denmark trying to close up that gap.
Spanish guy is very flexible in his armor.
Peter of Denmark, of course. Good shot to the shoulder of the Spanish fighter, the right shoulder.
Rodrigo Gonzalez Ayala.
Up against the rails.
Just got candies delivered.
This is great. We're getting
Food.
star treatment up here in our booth.
Not gonna leave this place.
No, we get the best seat in the house. Get stuff brought up to us.
And food and drinks. That's awesome. Why haven't I been up here before?
This is the best seat in the house. All we need is someone to come up and gently fan us.
Yeah, true.
That's all we need now.
A back massage would be alright.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we'll go for a back massage. Anyone out there wants to give us a back massage, we're up in the commentary booth. And some highlights of... oh, no, that's our fight in list number 1.
Canada and Quebec. Right? Yeah.
That's Land Pearson of Canada. And for Quebec,
Yes.
just we'll double check the name. Eli of Quebec.
Eli. Yeah. Perot.
So I imagine they're possibly familiar with fighting each other, but Quebec being within Canada, but it is a pretty huge space, so they might never met. We got that center boss shield being used by Quebec. Unusual one. I could say some of the Canadians were using them last year, but Land Pearson there seems to have switched to a conventionally strapped one. Going for next round here, Spain versus Denmark.
Crowd cheering up their Danish champion.
Spanish quite riled up.
He looks pumped.
He's very pumped. He's bellowing. And Peter of Denmark shoving him right up into the corner. Like I say, he's a very physical fighter. Good shot to the legs from Spain.
A lot of infights.
He managed to turn that, grapple around and get his Spanish fighter up against rail, but he's dropped his sword.
Oh, he lost his sword again. That's a pity. It's just wasted points.
But sometimes you just can't keep a grip of it.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. I fucking hate it. It's really bad. And in other rule sets, it's like 10 points to the opponent when you lose your sword. That's like, oh no, how can I get 10 more points?
And I think if you've been doing this for a while, there's always that moment when you go for a strike and it just slips out of your head. You basically throw your sword away. You know, nothing done by the opponent. You just, like, no, I was embarrassing. Let me just go over there and pick that up. Hopefully it didn't land in the middle of a martial.
And once, I fought here in Denmark before in the summer at the Spottrup medieval festival, and once I lost my sword and one of the marshals just caught it out of the air. Like, oh, thank you, can I please have it back? Thank you very much.
And they've got to be the real brave ones out there at the marshals. You know, instead of all they've got is the protection of a straw hat and admittedly pretty fierce steel pole that he's got there.
And nothing protects them from the emotional pain when they get yelled at, especially by me most of the time. No, they're doing a great job. The martial squad here is really good.
They have done fantastic work, and the fighters really are appreciating it and respecting them. That Spanish fighter is really good at turning around those grapples. And again, Denmark struggling to defend himself at all.
The Spanish guy is really fast.
He is fast and he is tough. Denmark coming back out into the fight. And he gets some control on him, and that's the round.
That was the round. Let's look at the other lists. We have New Zealand and USA on list number 3, the female fighters. And there's still Canada.
So in list, you can see list number 2, we got the visors up, fighters trying to cool down. List number 3 is Sigrid of New Zealand against
helmets off.
Not exactly sure of US because our notes have been messed up. For some reason they decided to print the women's names are all kind of jumbled up on the back of a sheet. So apologies to everyone. I know the Americans are tuning in and active on Twitter, so just let me know and I'll have a look and I'll have your name then.
I just see a black screen.
We might have lost the feed. We'll keep commentating anyway and see what happens.
Let's see if... I'm not sure if anyone can hear us.
And that round in list number 2 goes to Spain. Spain versus Denmark. Spain takes it.
Yeah, well-deserved victory. It was really fast, really strong.
We just got told that they'll work on it. Still not sure if we're going out, but we'll keep commentating. The action list number 1 is still going. Quebec versus Canada. Good grapple there. They're kind of getting in a...
I hate the grappling and wrestling.
When it goes on for a whole fight, and they just seem to like hugging. But I don't mind fighters getting physical when they're
absolutely
also able to get out and fight.
As long as there are still some decent hits.
But A lot of shots I've seen there coming in from Canada onto the back of the
not
Quebec
sure if
fighter's head.
those
I think
ones
they were very
count.
light. I don't think they would count.
It's like this backhand hits to the back of the head. It's like it's difficult. And we have a victory for New Zealand against the USA. List number 3.
And for New Zealand, they've got 2 flags out in the field. The New Zealand flag, and what also is being waved around is the Tino Rangatira Tanga flag. It's a black, white, and red flag. Black represents Te Kor Kor, the realm of potential being, the long darkness from whence the world emerged. White on that New Zealand flag represents Te Ao Mararama. Sorry.
Good that I don't have to read it.
The realm of being and light. White also symbolizes purity, harmony, enlightenment, and balance. Red on the flag represents Te Wahi Ao, the realm of coming into being. So now you know what the flag represents. It's very important to the Maori people and very important to the New Zealanders in general. And they're very proud to march onto the field with it. Back up on, we have our screens back active. We've got a result from Canada win in list number 1 against Quebec. Land Pearson of Canada wins against Eli of Quebec. And in list number 2, we're just kicking off between Finland and Ukraine.
I was very curious about watching this fight. That could be really interesting. Both of them are really skilled with the sword and shield.
They're eyeing each other up, but not afraid to go for the quick flurries. I think that's what it's going to be, is a lot of standing off and adjusting and then flurries.
I love their different styles. Like the one with the high defense.
Finland keeping that shield down low, but it's ready to come up quick. He's relying on the sword to protect his head to an extent. Hop from Ukraine there.
A lot of blows to the shields. Both are very good in their defense.
There is excellent defense from both fighters. It looks, at point it looks like they're leaving their guard open, but I can guarantee they're doing that on purpose.
Yes. That was the first round. Support crews.
For the uninitiated, that might not have been the most exciting round, but when you know what's going on, there was a lot going on in that round. List number 1, we're about to kick off between Luxembourg and Poland.
Poland. Marcin Vashkelis and Laurent Luxembourg back on the field.
And in list number 3, we have
Italy and Estonia.
In list number 1, eyeing each other up, Luxembourg and Poland. As we said before, Laurent of Luxembourg is a cautious fighter. He likes to react. Not to say he's afraid of getting stuck in or being hit. I've been calling Laurent the man of stone from watching him in Bo Hurt's fights. He just... We got to see him on Thursday. He was being beaten on by one guy and just got bored of it and turned away while the guy was still hitting him and walked off to find someone else to fight. His armor is obviously working for him. Good spring there from Marcin. Great footwork.
That was the first round already.
And back into their corners to catch their breath.
Meanwhile, Finland and Ukraine are going in for the second round. A little more active than the first one.
Trying to work around that shield. Good guard from Finland. That whole left side of his body was well protected.
A lot of hits to the shield. Strong defense.
Ukrainian trying to cut across at different angles, find a gap in the Finnish fighter's defense. Finland's going to have to get...
Oh,
there we go. That's a good shot.
That were 2 good shots.
And in a close fight like that, that might do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes one clean hit can win the round.
List number 1,
Working
we're already
hard
in the second round.
Keep the Finnish fighter cool, but here we go. List number 1.
That was a strong hit by Marcin.
I think he's coming out a bit more active this round. He knows that Laurentiis wants to wait for him to attack. He's happy to get stuck in. Beautiful wrist work, so smooth.
Absolutely.
And watching his feet, he's just dancing in there.
I love it when all the armor works together perfectly. Like there's nothing like, oh no, I can't move my wrist like this. Strong blows from both fighters.
Yeah, your armor should work with you, not against you.
And there's all the action that we missed maybe in round number 1.
Like I say, Laurent isn't afraid of getting stuck in when he has to. And with a decision there, I actually missed the decision in list number 2. We were so engrossed in list number 1.
It's really hard to keep track of all these lists.
Because at the end of the day, we might be trying to commentate and tell you everything about it, but we want to watch the fights. That's why we're here. We love watching these fights.
And getting served cool drinks.
Cold drinks and snacks, and we're still waiting on the massage. And some of these Scottish crew working with Laurent there in the corner, trying to cool him down. He's great friends with the Scottish. Got helmets off in list number 1. In list number 2, we have USA and Italy preparing. We'll wait until we have an announcement in list number 1. Marcin Vaskalis of Poland, and Laurent of Luxembourg.
And victory goes to Poland.
Again, as we said, Poland, Marcin there is one of the most experienced, most decorated fighters in the tournament. An absolutely phenomenal fighter. And we're coming to a decision in list number 3 between Estonia and Italy. It goes to Italy. And they are delighted.
Yeah, our support crew is going crazy.
Everyone likes to see their fighters winning.
Of course.
And we'll see if Italy can get another win in list number 2 against USA.
US guys way taller. Let's see if that gives him an advantage against Italy.
Hopefully the Italian has been prepared to go for those low shots and try and make that height advantage work against Brandon Knight of USA.
Strong shots from the US fighter. I think he landed 1 or 2 hits already.
So quite cautious out there.
One wrong move can cost you a lot of points.
If you end up out of position, you can get battered with a few hits, and that can be it. There was a good cross shot there from the USA. And a hit to the knee. I think it might have been just with the tip of the blade, so if that's too far out, it won't count.
Another shot to the legs. Italian's defense on his left leg is not that good, obviously. It's like half of all the shots from US went to his left knee.
Just being left a bit too far out there.
What's going on the other list? Let's have a look. We have list number 3, we have France and South Africa. And list number 1, it's New Zealand and Wales.
So we've Dean Sinclair of New Zealand against Daniel Chop Sinclair. It's a Sinclair off. 2 Sinclairs in that list. Let's see if the Welsh New Zealand one is stronger, better. And in list number 3, it's Stephanie of South Africa versus Julie of France.
Wales,
And as I expected,
New Zealand,
ACL USA Knights on Twitter have come to the rescue and informed us that the female US Sword and Shield is Samantha Mateus.
Samantha.
Well, it says Samantha. Might have been a typo. We'll go with Samantha until we're corrected again. Sam.
We'll call her Sam.
Sam the Eagle. And oh, we've got a weapon drop straight away in that fight from South Africa. That will be a point against South Africa. The action is kicked off again in list number 2.
US and Italy. Italy a little more aggressive in this round.
From what I saw in the last round, they have to make it up now.
Yeah, he has to keep pushing, score some points. Maybe aim for a third round.
But we have
There's those shots
France
to the
and
leg.
South Africa on screen. Big
Oh, yeah,
shield
right.
being used by South Africa, but Julia France is quite small, so she's well able to hide behind that shield. She's an excellent fighter, though. Cautious going for the gap, but I think they're going to need to go for multiple shots. These combination shots are where it's at. Trying to hack under the shield, but good defense from France.
Hard shots to the shields. And that was the round.
And yeah, USA Knights have clarified it is Samantha.
Samantha.
So we'll see her in action shortly enough. In list number 1, we've got a break between our 2 Sinclairs fighting it out for Wales and New Zealand.
Still at list number 3. I love to see the French fighter pushing the taller South African fighter back whenever she could, like advancing, pushing. It's good.
Sometimes it looks like a small fighter is going to be shoved around the ring, but they can be just as well able to defend themselves and shove back, turn your opponent around. It's not all about size and weight.
Switch to the decision on list number 2. Victory goes to USA in 2 rounds.
And Brandon Knight saying good night to Italy.
They just landed more shots on the legs. That was a good fight. And we see Wales and
Dean
New
Sinclair of
Zealand.
New Zealand wailing on the head of the Welsh fighter, pushing him to the ground. He pushed him to the ground earlier as well in the round. As I said, the New Zealand fighter is a strong man, power lifter. These competitions where they're lifting massive stones up on top of barrels and all sorts of stupid nonsense like that. Pulling vehicles. He's got no problems with pushing people down to the ground. And here he goes again.
Goes again.
Good guard from New Zealand there, or sorry, Wales. But he's really struggling, getting turned around by Dean.
Looks like something's wrong. Something's wrong with the fighter from Wales, I think. He was covering his head, turning away.
Might have just been turned about.
I think he's...
Sure. He could have been injured.
It's a round over.
I think that's time up in that round anyway. And in list number 3, we're kicking off again. South Africa against France. But on screen we're seeing Welsh fighter and New Zealand taking an air. Taking on water maybe.
Maybe if we switch to list number 3, we could catch
Get the
somebody.
action
Yeah,
right
there we
there.
go. Thank you very much. 10 seconds left.
There's a little tag on the back of the head by South Africa there, but I think it might have been too light to count. Another one there would have been a little more force, but all the while I think France is getting points on the legs.
The time is up.
So sometimes, especially when you get too excited and your blood is up, you can keep trying to go for the more spectacular headshots landing good shots in the head are great, but if someone's got 2 shots on your legs while you've got 1 on the head, you're not going to win that fight. No
Also,
advice.
advancing and pushing your opponent back is more or less worthless if you can't land shots in between, and if the other guy's using you, that you're pushing forward to land more shots on your head, like I think the South African girl just did on the French. That's not good to attack.
Krista of South Africa giving some last-minute advice to Stephanie as she goes back into the ring. Julie is ready and waiting to represent France there.
We have a 3rd round, isn't it?
It is 3rd round. Our fight in list number 1 seems to still be about to kick off for another round. And we've got in list number 2 as well, we have France versus Sweden. More blue and yellow.
Swedish shield is quite small.
And some fighters prefer the maneuverability of it. He was using a bigger shield earlier. He obviously decided to switch it up.
Interesting.
But we got the action in list number 3 on screen. Eyeing each other up again.
If it's a one-on-one situation now, after the first 2 rounds, it's like if they don't want to make any mistakes.
It's everything to play for. If they've got 1 round each, you don't want to give away a single point.
We don't know if one of the other rounds was a draw.
Yeah, and that can be tough then. If you got a drawn round earlier on, you still have to go for another round even when you've won 1. Stephanie standing quite high in her stance, trying to use her height advantage. South African fighter trying to stand high, get up on top, but Julie is well able to cover her head. And they're split up, and that's the end of that round. Round 3 over.
List number 1, we
That action
New
is
Zealand
still going
and
on.
Wales still going. I'm not sure if it's round 3 already.
Dean Sinclair pounding on the head of Daniel Chop Sinclair of Wales. I'm not sure what round it is, but it seems like, from our point of view, that Dean seems to be in control of the whole fight.
Yeah.
But like I say, the marshals see much better. They can tell what's going on.
But list number 1 is really far away for us, so
we more or less get to see what's on the screens. More taps on the head.
something. I'm still curious. I think there's something wrong with the fighter from Wales. It's like
I think it might.
the marshal's talking to him.
It could just be getting talked to about why isn't he attacking? You need aggression in these fights. Just heard one more try from the head marshal in there. That's Jack Pinson. He's an Irish marshal. He's really struggling to get any attacks, and he's just being battered, getting 1 or 2 shots in, but no. New Zealand is pounding on his legs, hacking them off. Chop is being chopped up. Dean Sinclair, they call him powerlifting Jesus.
Jesus.
If you see his helmet come off, you'll see why. And
Victory on list
results
number
here
3 goes to South Africa.
And she's delighted with it. A tough battle for both of them. And serious action in list number 2. France and Sweden slogging it out.
Quebec and Denmark female fighters, please report to list number 3. Germany and Poland, prepare.
Let's have a list. Look on the list.
Now we've got Denmark entering the list, and list number 3 to fight Quebec. Bene of Quebec admonishing the crowd for cheering on Denmark in good fun. And Satine of Denmark preparing to fight for her country in front of a very friendly crowd.
Looks like we have a decision on list number 1.
Number 1, Africa and Canada,
Some
male
discussion.
fighters, please report to the list. South Africa and Canada,
So I didn't
male
see,
fighters, please report to list number 1.
any arm being raised, but one would have to assume it went to New Zealand.
Also, Jesper Madsen giving advice.
Satine, an experienced fighter on the Danish team. And in the fight between Sweden and France, France wins.
For us, it's really hard to keep track on all these three lists.
There's a lot of action going on.
And between talking about it and just being amazed to watch it, it's like,
Yeah, and when you get a good fight, you're just going to look at that for the full length of the round and go, oh, wait, we missed two other fights. Oops.
no. Oh no, and we were about to talk about it. People worldwide are watching this feed and they want, well, I don't know if they want us to talk about it.
But we're going to anyway. You can't stop us.
I would love to know how many already muted the sound. Like, oh god, these guys are annoying. It's just,
We did get a message from someone on Thursday saying, oh, watching it on mute, but it looks great. I do like to think that it was because they were watching it in work and trying to keep it secret. But if you are watching it in work, don't keep it secret. Show your boss.
yeah, tell them about this, because this sport is amazing.
Here we go, Quebec versus Denmark. List number 3, the women. Quebec, one of the medal contenders. She's a medal winner. Denmark out to prove their home crowd is right for cheering them on.
The ranks are quite packed with people.
The stands are pretty full now. There's a nice shot over the head onto Quebec there, but I think it might have landed with the flat.
Hard to say.
Eyeing each other up. Good strike to the head from Quebec.
Both of them know quite well what they're doing out there.
Giving good defense, but both going happy to go for those volleys of shots rather than just launching one at a time, going for combinations. And it's the round. Good round. Enjoyable fight. List number 1, we've got South Africa and Canada going at it, hammer and tongs. Same in list number 2, they're all going at it, Ireland and Scotland. A Celtic fringe match. And as all Scots know, they are just a form of mentally ill Irish person. They're the ones who went, I know, I got an even rainier place. Let's go. We love you guys. Canada and South Africa on screen. Land Pearson against Henry of South Africa.
They both land a lot of good shots.
I have to say,
Land's quite skilled with the up and down with his shield. I love how he works with it.
yeah, he's a good mover. And a brief pause in all our lists. Fighting momentarily stopped as all 3 lists are resting. Jesper of Denmark giving advice to Satine on what she needs to do to take this match. And the Quebecois trying to cool down their fighter.
There's a lot of things written in the inside of her shield.
It's instructions to her secret
This is
battle plan.
the manual.
Hit
How
left,
to
hit
sword
right.
and board. How the Australians call the sword and shield.
Sword and board.
How to.
She's got her cheat codes on the back of that shield.
The cheat codes,
Up,
right.
down, left, right, A, B, start. It's going to unleash your power. No, but what that almost certainly is other fighters she's fought with who've left nice messages for her there to show the sportsmanship and camaraderie across the board in the sport. Or, like I say, secret recipe. Round 2, here we go.
Obviously, she has no cheat code for instant win. Good for all the others.
Oh, a nice cross right there to the Danish head. Another slap there, but good shots on the legs coming in from Denmark. From Satine of Denmark. It's a good matchup. Good blocking from both sides, but still a few getting through. Benet of Quebec trying to be as physical as possible, with Satine taking it in her stride. Just backing up and going for strikes to the head. Good strikes there.
I think Quebec might be 1 or 2 points ahead, and now she's pushing Satine back to the rail again.
She might be edging it, but it's so hard to tell. Now really trying to get physical, and the round is over.
Crowd's getting crazy.
Good round, again, another good round. There's 2 good rounds both fighters have had. Hard to tell. Benet definitely getting more aggression in there.
Well, actually, I
Keeping
haven't seen a boring fight yet. It's like
No.
they are all really
Well,
amazing.
Once people start swinging swords at each other, it's hard to be boring. But fighters, year on year, are getting more dynamic and maneuverable. People are getting their armor really sorted out so that they're not fighting against it.
So during the last years, the skill gaps between the younger countries and the older countries is getting smaller
Getting
and
narrower
smaller.
and narrower.
They're all catching up. They're all traveling. They fight and travel, and they got so much experience. I mean, like as we said before, the finalists of the longsword yesterday, who would have expected those fighters or those countries in the finals and taking the medals? I mean, that was just awesome.
Yeah, there was so many countries, including, I'm so delighted, my own, to be pulling medals, taking medals from countries that maybe a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago could have more or less guaranteed them. Competition across the board is getting better and better.
Oh, we have a 3rd round in the fight between Quebec and Denmark.
So from what I could see, I'd give the first round to Denmark, the second round might have been to Quebec. It's all to play for out here. But it was so close, they could have even had drawn rounds.
Can't say.
And the crowd bellowing for Denmark, and the Quebec supporters trying to drown them out. Decision in list number 2 goes to Scotland versus Ireland. Scotland win it. Benet of Quebec really getting aggressive now, shoving Satine up against the rails.
Really hard shots to the head.
But I am enjoying how calm Satine seems to be about this aggressive behavior. She's taking it in her stride. When she gets backed up, she just moves away. And she was pinned there for a moment. She kept going for strikes.
She tries to use every gap in Quebec's defense.
And that's round 3 over. We got scores being totted up in list number 1, which is South Africa against Canada. Here we have Denmark, Satine representing it. Denmark, relaxed, having her face wiped.
It's always interesting to see which countries have their flag with them at their list and which ones have not. I see Spain is not wearing a tabard in list number 2, and they don't have a flag with them.
I always find it strange if they don't have their flag. It's also a bit confusing for us sometimes if they don't have a flag or a surcoat, and going, and it's our mystery fighter in list number 2.
Mystery guy.
But then I know that some countries, especially if they've got men and women fighting, they might have one flag and not enough people to split up. They might be restricted in how many fighters they have around them or how many support they have to do their flag waving. South Africa win against Canada in list number 1. We've got a decision in list number 3. Let's see how this goes. Very tough one to call. And Quebec wins
Quebec
it.
takes the victory.
And a great reception from the crowd as well. They all saw that it was an excellent match. And the Quebec support crew bribing the crowd by throwing in maple sweets out into the crowd. And Benet looking for more of a cheer.
New Zealand.
Crowd's going wild.
And more bribes being thrown out.
So we're ready on list number 2. Spanish guy is pumped up.
Spain against England.
Spain against England, yeah.
Against
Rodrigo.
strange squat crab stance from USA. Spain bending his sword back into shape. Or sorry, I think I said USA, I meant England. I said
No, that's the Spain and England.
yes. There's no USA in there.
Oh no, they would have had that flag with them.
Oh yes. I can even see it in the background.
Massive flag. Lots of freedom.
Two very good movers in there.
Both very fast.
And not just good movers with their feet, but also very active with their shield arm. Good duck there from Spain. And with the speed that these weapons move at and the restricted vision, ducking a shot is more or less just done on instinct. It's so hard to do.
I wonder if the Spanish guy's armor is a lot of maintenance work during his tournament.
It is.
Made out of small lamellar plates.
They're all laced together. Look, it's
laced
looking
together.
lovely out there. I can see why you
Looks
want to cover
amazing.
up.
Looks amazing. Yeah, true. But still, it's a world championship, right?
You want to be wearing your country's colours.
Yep.
And oh, we've got Poland versus Belgium in list number 1. Marcin of Poland versus Gauthier of Belgium.
Call 10 seconds. Marcin's in the
Ooh,
corner.
good shot to the head there. You could hear that ding.
2 strong blows to the legs. It's
Back in the
actually
defense.
really hard to land a straight hit on Marcin. It's like, whenever you think that hit might land on him, he's just moving away. It's like, how? And
I had to fight him in Poland in front of his home crowd and managed to land one good blow on him that with a trick that I learned from Spanish fighter Martin Garcia.
yeah.
And I think I really annoyed Marcin. Oh, the Spanish fighter gets knocked down. I think that was more of a slip than anything else. But Marcin did not like me landing a shot on him.
So we had like 3 in return.
Do you say 300?
Oh, yeah. But still, when you tell your grandchildren about that fight,
But
just talk about that one.
I got one
Amazing blow in.
and not about the helmet that he broke while I was wearing it. Or the bruises through my armor. Two lovely fighters to watch.
It's really great.
There's nice mix-up of aggression, speed, dancing around, ducking high and low.
Both move so fluid.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's what I tell people when I'm training them. You should be moving around. It should almost look like a dance. If you can dance well, you should be able to move around the list well.
yeah, that's true. If you can't move like that,
If you're waddling around, you're
get other
in trouble.
gear. Just work on your armor.
I shove back from England there and a good strike to the legs. That's
That was
time.
the second round, I guess. Was it the second?
That's second round, yeah.
We have
The Spanish armor looking a bit grubbier after he got knocked down there or slipped. Fairly dusty. He's going to have to wipe that down. He's got his helmet off. England seems quite relaxed there in the corner, fanning him down a bit.
breathing heavy.
In our other list, we have a break between Poland and Belgium in list 1, and in list 2, we've got a break between Germany and Poland.
No, it's. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. My fault.
Spanish fighter trying to cool down, getting some water poured on him. I think sometimes it could be dangerous taking off your helmet when you're not sure the fight is done. It gets much harder to put it back on. And the win goes to Poland against Belgium.
List number 1. Oh, discussion on list number 2.
It might have
Marshals are negotiating about points, I guess.
been a very close round. But like I said, if it's close, you want to make sure you're giving the right result.
Let's see. Eric Cortes entering list number 1.
Always a nice one to watch. Very enjoyable fighter. And Quebec coming in as well. Eli of Quebec.
Oh, that fight's gonna be fun.
And in list number 3, Germany against Poland. Both looking well out there. Great aggression, the Polish fighter dancing away. She's moving well. Got a decision coming up in list number 2.
See their smiles in their faces. I think they both enjoyed that fight.
That was a nice fight. I think everyone who saw it enjoyed it. Drum roll. He goes to
England takes the win. Well deserved. That was a good match.
That was very enjoyable. And in list number 3, we got still plenty of action going on. And oh, they've just called the round. Close fought from what I could see. Great aggression from both sides. Polish fighter dancing well. The German fighter, Denise. Doing well. And Australia and Quebec about to kick off now in list number 1.
There's Igor Parfentiev from Buhut Technologies with Eric Cortes. They travel together a lot, training together. I see Joji Ishikawa with him as well. And
there's Jack Pinson, who's running this list. An experienced marshal at this stage.
And there we go.
Eric leaping into it. And a win in list number 3 for Germany against Poland.
Eric
dancing around. You can't help but enjoy his enthusiasm. You can just see through the helmet that he's having a blast in there.
Of course, Quebec is taking it more steady, landing a lot of blows.
Same as against Canada. He's just taking the center of the field and just let Eric dance around him.
He's using the advantage of a bigger shield, of being taller, having a longer sword.
I think one of the advantages of that center boss shield, the center grip shield, is that you can redirect it easier when people come in close. You can turn it around, and there's sometimes strapped on ones can get in your way or can get out of position.
That's the first round.
And Eric with his tiny punch shield.
Meanwhile, we start list number 2. We have Ukraine and France.
I heard a nice ding there, I think was onto the French helmet.
French is trying to
get in close and get around the guard of the Ukrainian.
Both are aiming for the legs. They stop the fight. The left kneecap of the Ukrainian the strap just broke.
Which isn't something terribly unusual to happen in the fights. Weapon or armor failures happen, sometimes weapons break. But especially when armor fails, that's when you got to stop the fight, fix it up. That's when injuries happen. The marshals are always on the lookout for anything coming loose. And even a lot of fighters, when they see something happen to their opponent's armor, will flag it and stop attacking. That's Emmanuel representing France. Emmanuel Legrand.
They're going to continue. the first round.
And as Eli, our commentator from last year, would say, French people saying French things. I imagine Ukrainian people saying Ukrainian things as well.
You can guess
Good
so,
combination shots there on both sides. They're both not just switching up high and low, but left and right. Waiting for any available target area.
Ukraine has his defense really close to his body, but he knows how to use it. He's pushing it forward quite fast all the time.
He's more of a rigid fighter, but not due to lack of skill. He knows exactly how he wants to be standing and how he wants to be moving. He prefers this more upright stance. Give it a shield close into his body. And here we have Quebec and Australia again. Are still going at it. Oh, that's the second round over.
Oh, we missed it. Pity.
I guarantee we missed some fun with Eric.
And we have
Eric the Green.
New Zealand and England. List number 3.
So Sigrid of New Zealand getting stuck in. She fought in the longsword yesterday as well. I know she's a relatively new fighter, but she's doing great out there.
Has good sight with her helmet. Good breathing, I guess.
Which is going to be an advantage again compared to a more closed up helmet. But no matter how well you can breathe, it's no substitute for skill.
No, not at all. You can have the best armor in the world, but if you're not training proper, you're still gonna lose.
Not gonna do anything for you. That's time on that round. Both of them struggling to get around the other's shield. They're both using quite big shields. Got barn door shields. And a decision there goes to Quebec.
Quebec takes the fight against Australia. Look at that smile on his face.
Still grinning.
As long as Eric can fight, he's happy.
Little advice from the marshal there for Eric about avoiding shield punches, which are illegal in sword and shield duels.
Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. The fight on list number 2 is a little bit slowed down. Ah, the French guy got stuck in the shield. The Ukrainian fighter. It's always a really bad situation if your sword or your hand gets stuck somewhere in the other fighter's shield arm.
There's a little tap there just in the last second into the faceplate of the French fighter, but I think it might have been after.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they take that point into account.
We already told to prepare for a third round, so that means there must have been a drawn round earlier. First round must have been a draw. Action here in list number 3. See dust being kicked up there, dirtying up all that nice armor. Sigrid of New Zealand slogs it out with that English fighter.
I'm not sure if they count those backhand blows. They can be strong, but
if they have enough force in them, they'll count, but they'll be a lot harder to count than a good forward strike. That sounded...
Strike to the head!
We could just let the New Zealanders do the commentary on this. I think they're shouting loud enough.
Come on, Sigrid, harder!
I think her nickname is Cigarette, all right?
No, her name is Sigrid.
Sigrid, keep it
I
going!
think they're calling her Cigarette.
Hard, Sigrid, hard!
Yes.
Yes, yes!
Hey, with a New Zealand accent throwing you.
Where the hell is your corner?
Oh, and the marshal directing the New Zealand fighters back to their corner. Stay there.
Where the hell is your corner? I don't know, I'm so amazed.
Well, she might not be a cigarette, but she's smoking out there. Just here for the puns. More action in list number 2. And list number 1, we've got Germany and Luxembourg going at it. They're resting at the moment. Got all the action in list number 2.
Oh, now the Ukrainian fighter got his sword locked in the shield arm of the French fighter.
Tangled up there. He's managed to get disentangled.
That's actually grappling. I don't know if they shouldn't break it up.
There's still a bit of fighting going on. The referee is allowing it, but maybe time to break it up now.
Looks like the French guy's losing his sword sooner or later. He's
Looks
holding
like
it on the pommel.
Had his arm cut. Is that the round over? It was.
Not so sure. I think the round. Yeah, the round.
It seems you got a confusion there.
Victory goes to New Zealand on list number 3.
Sigrid has done it.
Nice job.
And in list number 1, we've got Luxembourg going toe-to-toe with Germany.
Laurent and Johannes.
Johannes.
A lot of hits. Both are really fast.
Good, powerful shots too. Eyeing each other up with it a little.
Once they go for it, they go for it for real. A lot of combinations, up, down.
Sometimes you can see fighters standing off like that. And it's not because they're not willing to fight. These guys are looking for gaps, and as you can see, they're ready to go for it when they want to.
Going for the right moment.
And off camera, we've got a decision coming up. Again, Ukraine versus France. And the fight goes to
Ukraine!
I'll be delighted with that.
I think that was a really close call.
And that French fighter, I know he got a bronze last year in Portugal, the World Championships.
We're still in the group stage, so
There's still a lot more fighting to come.
list number... No. List number 2, we're at fight number 17. Coming up, Italy and
Scotland.
And list number 3, we have USA and Ukraine. Actually, fight number 14 out of 18. List number 1, we're still...
Luxembourg and Germany. Now list number 3, Samantha of the USA against Ukraine. And here we go. And that very small round shield of the Ukrainian fighter. More like a targe that the Scottish might be using.
The screen, we have USA and Ukraine. They're quite equal in size.
There's no big advantage either way on that. I think the American might be slightly bigger, but not by much. Good strike to the head from Ukraine there. Again, you see those combinations coming in.
Victory on list number 1 goes to Germany.
Coming towards the end of the first round in list number 3, USA versus Ukraine. They're still going all at it.
Go hear USA cheering for their
And
fight.
let go. But sometimes in those dying 10 seconds of a round, you can just feel like stepping back, taking your foot off the pedal. But
You have to be absolutely sure
you've got it won.
you have
Or you're
all
not-
points. Otherwise, it's a really stupid idea.
Just get in there and get
10
extra
seconds.
hits
10
in.
seconds are enough to change the result. If you're going for
In list number 2, we have Scotland versus Italy. On camera there, cooling down the Ukrainian fighter. She seems very collected in her helmet. She doesn't have a visor, so she can't raise that. Here we go. List number 2. leg shot there from Scotland, but I think he got a headshot in return.
Both with
Headshots are always easier to count because you get a nice
I also,
ding with a clear-
oh, I think that was a shot in the side and the eye slice. He might have gotten that's the tip of its sword into the visor.
They're calling in the medics.
Can't see if he's bleeding or not. They're removing
Taking
his
the
helmet.
off.
I hope he's fine.
They're willing to take the gear off before the medics got to him, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. You see some of the replays there.
It was an amazing
The
shot.
tip just slipped into the eye slit. That's a very unfortunate end to that fight.
It's like there's no perfect armor. You're always gonna have one or two weak spots.
But he's
I
walking
see him
past us.
walking by. I think he's bleeding.
The little bit of blood dripping off his nose. Any hit to the face, the head is going to bleed a lot. So it's nothing too major.
I think he has in the middle of the visor. There is no.
I think it might have just clipped his nose. But we've got the action in list number 2. Oh, sorry, list number 3. The women's list. USA versus Ukraine, the battle of the U's.
Good shot to the knees. I love the Ukrainian training videos from the Aina Bera team. They're training a lot, and they have a lot of people. I think the whole female team is from their club. Most of the national team that's fighting here is from their club.
So they got major numbers to draw
Yeah.
on. But the same is true for the Americans.
I'd love to have like 80 people in armor just in my club. That would be amazing.
List number 2.
If I could get 8 at one go, I'd be happy. We're getting there.
Report to the list. Austria and Denmark, male fighters, report to list number 2. Sweden
Yeah.
and Finland.
Just getting a report the Italian fighter was
just-
hitting the nose, in the bridge of the nose. Nasty shot, but
He should be fine.
these things happen and
He's fine. It's just in the nose. All right.
nothing that our fighters wouldn't expect to occasionally happen. Thankfully, it was nothing more serious.
And you can make the visor, every slice in the visor as tiny as possible. You still get the possibility to get hit in the nose.
There's always risks, but compared to rugby, compared to boxing, the injury rate here is actually quite a bit lower.
It's way more safer than all the other martial arts. It's like people always, when people who are not into the sport talk to me and say, "Oh my God, this looks so brutal." It's like, yeah, but we're wearing armor. It's like the armor is made to protect us. The armor protected the people wearing it 600 years ago. It was made to protect people, and we're wearing it, so we're way more safe. It looks brutal because weapons are involved. But if you see the faces of the MMA cage fighters, like they're battered faces after each fight. It's like, I wouldn't go in there. I better wear a helmet and 20 kilos of gear and fight with a sword.
I started doing boxing after a couple of years of doing this, and even just sparring with boxing headgear on, getting punched in the face is horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone does it. I definitely prefer putting on a steel helmet and getting hit with a sword,
Yeah.
hit with an axe.
I think
Bring
we have
on.
a decision made on list number
3.
3. Victory goes to Ukraine. And we have Austria, Philipp Pfleger, and Peter from Denmark lining up for their fight. We haven't seen Austria in a while, right? I think
He could have gone off and had a nap while he was waiting.
he did.
Good.
He's
I
actually,
like his cat on the.
it's actually Joji's shield. Has a cat on it.
And
Maybe not very historical, but you know.
the Danish crowd cheering for Peter.
Actually, more and more people joining this event, and it's a lot of spectators. Nice shot to the legs. I think the Danish fighter might still have a little problem with getting his shield down or stepping out. Yeah, and
We got a nice hit to the head there, and I think get 2 to the legs before that for Denmark, but there's shots coming in constantly
that
from
was a nice
Austria
shot.
as well.
That was another.
Good headshots from Austria.
Phil is quite decent fighter. He improved a lot during the last years. Stepping back, taking some time, look around.
But when fighters dedicate themselves to, for a year, working hard 5-6 days a week, you can see massive, massive improvements. And that's the kind of effort these guys are putting in.
That was a really good first round.
I would probably have to give it to Austria, but I think that's one of the better performances from a Danish fighter.
Yeah.
He's looking more comfortable out there. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. He might have been having trouble with his armor early on. Might just be a slow starter, some fighters are.
Sometimes you just take the first round just to scout what your opponent is up to, how he fights, what his style is, and then you go for it in the second round.
You will see a lot of that, the first round being more cautious on both sides.
I think I hear the Austrians talking to each other. Phil just said he's okay. So he's doing well. He's really relaxed.
He looks nice and casual leaning up on the rails there.
I remember when he got this helmet a couple of years back, he had some problem with the chin straps, and when he had to close it, he made sounds like he was puking. So the support crew was always like, oh no, I have to support Phil. He might puke in my face when I open his chin straps. We make a lot of fun of him. I was like, I think he got over this problem. So, second round.
And I just got shown that it's now 25 degrees Celsius here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it heats up past that.
Nice shots to the legs. Denmark is pushing.
I think a lot of those leg shots might have been hitting the shield first. If
Yeah.
that's the case, they won't be counting, but those two did.
Those two were definitely...
And like we were saying, Denmark having trouble getting that shield down low and covering that left leg.
Those
Getting
leg
destroyed.
shots. That's a
2 to the head
push.
there. This is a very tough round for Denmark.
A lot of leg shots.
2 to the head.
I think the first one was on the shield.
They're both good. He needs to get in and get strikes. Got 10 seconds to go. He just gets it, get more of them in.
Phil looks
Just get
quite relaxed,
shots
taking
in.
it slow. Could it possibly be that Portugal dropped out of the competition? Because or did we just miss the fight between Austria and Portugal earlier?
I think Portugal must have dropped out.
Because
I don't think
either
we
we've been
missed
so amazed with one of the other fights that we totally missed it, or they dropped out. So I was wondering.
I
like,
think we would have seen Portugal. He was wearing that dazzling white surcoat.
bright colors, bright white.
And that's helmets off.
We have in list number 1, we have
South Africa and
Italy. So there we go. So they switched. So I think list number 1, the pools A, B, and C, the male competition are already done. So they put the female fights there, and we have a decision list number 2. And Austria takes this victory.
Not a massive surprise there. He certainly that second round absolutely controlled us.
This morning we were talking about who of us is going to fight the Sword and Shield as Jojo dropped out. It's like, I'm quite glad to sit up here with cool drinks and snacks, having a nice talk with you.
And he seems to be enjoying himself out there
Yes,
in
absolutely.
the field.
Absolutely.
No, on list number 1, the female fighters out there. South Africa and Italy getting ready to go in list number 2. I think Ireland are coming in. Do we have another fight?
Sweden and
Finland, and then Ireland. I'm getting ahead of myself. Eager to see the Honey Badger back in action.
That's because they're already demontaging list number 3. We're like way ahead of our time.
Good hits
lot of
down the centre line
headshots.
from Italy.
All the headshots from South Africa.
Italy with that round shield, using it, putting it up into South African's face, blocking her sword arm.
If your opponent can't see you, they can't hit you.
I've hit people when I haven't seen them. Sometimes I didn't even know they were there.
That's some really
Oh, it's
strong-
trading heavy shots.
Italy's pushing her back to the rail.
A few years ago, there was a real issue with power in the women's categories.
Yeah.
It was hard to score points because there wasn't enough strength in the blows. Those days are gone.
Those days are long gone. So Sweden and Finland are lined up in list number 2.
Two neighbours battling it out now. Looks like they're eyeing each other up on the list in front of us. In that last fight between Italy and South Africa, I'd probably give it to Italy, but I'm not sure. And we had an update on that injured Italian fighter from the earlier fight. He is fine. There's nothing major, thankfully.
I got a scar, and like my grandfather said, a man without scars is like a sky without stars.
But I think there's plenty of us out there that have a nice scar on the bridge of our nose. Either normally it's from the helmet getting slammed back, as is in my case. Good defensive work by Finland.
I actually love his helmet with that chain
It's a nice helmet.
up to the forehead instead of a nozzle piece.
Yeah. There's a nasal underneath it, I think.
Yes, it says
Yeah.
a metal cage. They call 10 seconds. Oh, that was a nice shot to the legs.
One more point on the board for Finland with that one.
I'm basically not sure if it's a good idea to announce the remaining time to the fighters or on the list. But
But I think it's useful when you know it's a close fight. You can push for those last 10 seconds, but they need some way of the head marshal in there knowing that he has to be prepared to go in with that stick soon. The Italian fighter with a bit of a height disadvantage, but she's very aggressive.
yeah, she's doing a lot of pressure.
Good strike to the legs there from South Africa.
The problem is I think her hand is like stuck at South African shield. Otherwise, she would have hit to the legs, I
She
guess.
took a few hits there. Didn't come off the better in that scuffle. Stephanie from South Africa would have had that.
I think it's for both of them. It's the last fight of their group.
With no point leaving anything on the table.
She lost her sword.
If they don't win this match, they might not get through to the next round. If they get through to the next round, they have time to recover before they have to fight again. Giving it all they got.
Hard headshots. So that round is
South
over,
African's
and we
bending
have
over. I'm not sure if
Sweden
she's
and Finland going at each
exhausted. She seems to be struggling there. She's bent over. She's being looked after. I think it might just been out of air.
other. While Finland's dancing around.
Lovely mover. And some nice moves from Sweden as well. He's not afraid to dance when he needs to. A high guard on both sides now. both trying to work around each other's guards.
That was nice.
Center up. Go.
And
Sweden trying to use his bulk to pressure the Finnish fighter, but he's quite happy to move around the ring and get away from him.
that round is over.
Looked like a fairly low scoring round.
Yes.
Not for want of shots being launched, but quite good defense on both sides.
I'm really curious what the score actually is, because I think some of the shots that we
South Africa
saw.
winning that fight against Italy.
Oh, really nice. I think she landed more blows to the head.
And those are always so much easier to count.
There's a lot of marshals in training this year, so a lot of new marshals here. They're doing a great job. Yes, I just said on the live feed that the marshals doing a great job.
You don't want to let that out there that a fighter said something good about the marshals.
No, and basically I'm getting yellow carded for yelling at them every year. Didn't got a yellow card this year.
So you're learning as well. Finland win it.
We have 3 more fights on list number 2 and 3 more fights on list number 1. Or maybe on list number 2, our next fight should be Ireland versus USA. Yeah, we see the US fighters already waiting. Ireland right behind him. And on list number 1 from the female pool, we have France and Estonia already ready to fight.
Again, two fighters a very similar stature and build. France with, I was going to say a slightly larger shield, but I think they're both about the same size.
It's hard to say. That was a hard headshot.
Nice bit of force behind it. It's tentative there. Sizing each other up. Judy of France getting a couple of shots in. But good guard from the Estonian.
Just keeping her shield.
Good headshot there from Estonia. That one will count.
Absolutely. Oh, she's attacking. That looked really close to a hit with a shield edge, but I think the marshals were fine with it.
And sometimes the marshals will use their common sense and say that wasn't intentional. If they see a few like that, they'll give them a warning and say,
I mean, active
watch
blocks are all right. Just look close to the body, but hard to say.
it can be very hard to make sure that those shield punches never happen. But I think it's good the marshals are allowing the fights to continue rather than breaking them up when they know something was unintentional.
More fighting, less discussion. It's always the better way. Just don't negotiate about the rules. Just go on fighting.
These people who tell you to use your words to settle problems, they're wrong.
Yes.
Fight.
I'll just
Fight it out.
fight for it.
List number 2, we've got Ireland versus USA.
So you're pumped up for your guy?
Yeah. Anthony, the Honey Badger Power,
Finally back on the list.
against Brandon Knight of the USA.
So we have a honey badger and a knight fighting.
Let's see if it's a good night.
Oh, two really fast hits.
Both kind of mirroring each other with their stance. Ireland with a smaller shield. Things might be lighter, maybe more maneuverable, but it's leaving his legs open. That was a good strike to the legs.
With a height disadvantage and the smaller shield. Not sure if that's a good idea.
And heavier armor as well.
Yeah, especially we can see it on the arms, because his arms are quite decently covered, while we have a lot of gaps on the US guys' arms. I don't know. I would be afraid to get a hit on the forearm.
He's just happy to come away with the bruises. Hopefully nothing worse than that.
True.
So that's the round over. Both back into corners to rest up, and we've got action list number 1, the next round of France versus Estonia.
Circling around.
And we only got to see the dying seconds of it. Back to their corners. So now, in both our active lists, the fighters are going to be cooled down by their corner staff, given any advice they need. The American here is shaded by his flag covering him.
It's totally covering him.
Looks like he's...
Can't even see him. Can't see anything.
He could be getting changed. He might have slipped in a new fighter behind that.
Some other guy just jumping into the greaves and the shoes because that's the only thing we can see from our perspective.
We know you're cheating out there. No, we don't. You're not cheating. We're only joking.
There's good fair play here in this tournament.
There is absolutely brilliant fair play. I haven't seen it today, but especially in the polearms, when polearms are breaking, the first people to hand you a fresh one were, if teams didn't have a backup, were their opponents. In the group fights, when teams have been down, fighters have been going down from 5 fighters to 4 to even up.
Yeah, especially Japan
there.
Against Canada. They continued 2 more rounds with 4 fighters because Canada only had 4 left. That deserves a fair play award, in my opinion. So we're seeing USA
versus Ireland, round
Mr.
2.
Knight and Mr. Honey Badger.
Poland and Ireland prepare.
Nice movement.
I think Anthony needs to get shots in here now.
I think he
got one through to the head there, but I'm not sure if he had enough force once it was through. He's never afraid of a fight.
I think if you're afraid to fight, it's the wrong sport for you.
Yep. I know how thrilled Anthony was to get the chance to represent Ireland here. He was ecstatic. He's been working for the last 2 years to get this position, and he's enjoying it.
Yeah. Yesterday at the longsword, when Joji was going against Ireland, he was like, has anyone an idea how skilled that guy is? And we were like, no, we didn't see him fight during the last half a year. So we were like, okay, let's see. And he went out after the first round back to his corner. He was like, fuck, that guy's fast. Joji, you're the fast guy normally. He's like, no, that guy's faster.
There's a reason we call Peter the Machine.
That's really awesome.
He was built in a factory to fight.
And skilled a lot on speed.
Yes.
On speed.
And
normally Joji's not coming back from the fight saying, that guy's super fast. I really love it. Normally he's like, it's all right.
And the thing with Peter to remember is every time he's fighting, he is grinning ear to ear in his helmet.
Yeah.
He can't stop. But we've got Denmark versus Spain in list number 1, and we're coming up to a decision in list number 2. Anthony Power of Ireland versus Brandon Knight of USA, and USA winners.
To all the visitors and spectators, and especially the spectators on the live feed that are not used to this sport, this is full contact medieval combat, and it's the best sport in the world. If you by accident landed on the live feed, this is day 3 of the IMCF World Championship in full contact medieval combat. We're fighting the Sword and Shield group stages at the moment.
We've got a lot more fighting to go today. We've got Spain and Denmark in the women's category slogging it out right now. Later we're going to have the quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals of this category. We've got group fights as well coming up.
List number 2, Austria. Philipp Pfleger is entering the list, and he's going against Spain. So we have Spain fighting on both lists at the same time. I'm really curious about that fight because I think Spain is way faster than Austria.
He is a fast mover out there.
That's going to be an interesting fight. Trying to not get excited, not like because it's one of my guys in there.
It can
I'm cool. I'm really calm.
We don't need to be. We can be bipartisan if we want. We don't have to be fair and balanced up here.
Yeah.
That's the marshals down there. They have to be fair. If there's a
Spanish guy
if
super
their
pumped.
own countries out there, they'll step out of the list.
Yeah.
But we can be as biased as we want.
I've witnessed yesterday the marshals having discussions about I want to be replaced for this fight because this is my guy, a guy from my country. It's like, that was amazing.
On screen at the moment, we got Denmark slugging out against Spain. Good shots coming in from both sides. Satine of Denmark. With the home crowd cheering her on. There's a slight issue. A piece of armor came off there. I'm not sure what it is. Might have just been a finger shield.
Even though it's lunchtime already, a lot of people are still on the tribunes watching.
There's a big crowd down right by the
Danish
list number
corner.
1 watching the Danish sword and shield duelist. But she's having a slight weapon malfunction, so they're fixing her back up. All the while, in list number 2, it's all go with the action. And that's time up.
That was the first round. Even though the Spanish guy is faster, the Austrian guy has a very good defense. I think Spain might have landed more straight blows, but I can't say for sure.
The Spanish
Well,
fighter looks a bit tired walking back into the...
It's because
his
all of
corner.
the dancing he does. It's like at
It's
one point you have to say, all right, I will stop the dancing now. Focus on the fighting. Nah, he's great. He's a great guy.
Here we go for the next round. Denmark versus Spain in the women's category. Good trading blows. Good shots there from Satina Denmark. Spanish fighter trying to get around the shield.
Actually, those helmets without the nozzle piece, but the chainmail up to the forehead, like in the middle, they're getting more and more common. I see them this year. I think alone in this tournament, I've seen 5 of those, like 2 in this nomination, and at the Buhurt, several fighters using them.
Good defense from Denmark, and they're stopped. The Danish crowd enjoying her performance. Performance to be proud of.
Meanwhile, we're in second round, Spain against Austria. Both of them look a little bit tired.
Spanish fighter still trying to work around the Austrian shield. Good blocks, both sides. Found a little gap there and got a shot to the lower part of the leg, not one on the foot.
That was a good shot to the head. Austrian trainer is giving advice that he has to speed up now.
Good shot right on the crown of the head there. And
That was
the leg.
Decent leg shot.
I think the Spanish fighter got a few extra points in the dying seconds of that
Yeah,
round.
I think so
Would have
too.
been
Actually, that's the last fight on list number 2.
And we've a couple more. We've got one more then in the women's.
With Poland and Ireland
We won to watch.
and with Spain.
win it.
Spain takes the victory against Denmark.
And a great reaction from the Danish crowd as well. Glad to see they've been respectful for the fighters, even though theirs didn't take the win this time. Enjoyed that it was a serious match, a very competitive match.
A lot of hugging in list number 2. I think they enjoyed the fight. Both have a smile on their face. Victory goes to Spain.
Well deserved.
As the more fancy armor deserves the victory, right?
So he's one to watch later on in the category. I think.
I'm pretty sure Spain is in the playoffs, same as England, I think. Both of them, I think they both won all the other fights. I'm not sure yet. So we have actually only one fight left, which is going to take place in list number 1. And it's going to be Poland and Ireland. Pools A, B, C, D, E, and F. And the male sword and shield, sword and board competition are already finished. So we're looking forward for the last fight of the group stage. Afterwards, there's a little break, and we have a lunch break, and then the 5-on-5 Pool A. 5-on-5 Buhurts coming up after a little lunch break.
There's Lara of Ireland looking very relaxed in her corner.
So your fighter's taking the last fight over there. My fighter had the last fight over here.
It's almost like we planned it that way. I suppose they had to leave our fighters to the last, so because otherwise we just get bored and leave.
Yeah, true.
We're only here to watch our own fighters. We'll keep talking.
Throw our headsets away and just leave. Especially funny
if we
thing is, our snacks are right in front of us for the whole time since they've got delivered, and we didn't even touch them yet.
I don't think anyone out there in the rest of the world wants to hear us just chewing away on. We're too busy watching the fight anyway.
You even turned off your microphone while you were drinking. I didn't do that. You had a lot of slurping and drinking from me here. I don't care.
So Lara started out yesterday with the nickname Sparky because of the sparks would fly off her helmet. Yesterday's commentators decided that wasn't good enough after her performance. They upgraded her to Lightning.
Lightning.
So it's now Lightning Lara.
Lara Lightning.
But she,
cool.
I put her gold medal yesterday down to my motivation. We told her that if she didn't get gold, she was going to be kicked out of the team.
Oh, nice.
So she took that to heart and won us.
That's a really nice motivation.
You should try that. So we told her that she has to get 2 golds. So here she goes against Poland.
Or otherwise, she has to walk home without her shoes. It's a long way home to Ireland, huh? Especially.
Long way to Tipperary. Cautious, sizing each other up.
I think both of them won all the other fights, did they?
They've only had one fight each, I think, and they won them.
So it's like the group victory.
Yeah.
Good shot to the legs.
Good movement from both of them.
Yeah, they're really
Evenly
good.
matched. So shot under the guard there from Ireland, but then another one blocked by Poland. So why I just start calling out random country names when I get confused. Denmark, Finland, one is.
I call 10 seconds and the fight is over. As we mentioned before a couple of times, our tower is very far away from list number 1. It's just for us, we can just guess because most of the hits we can't see them, and also
we're seeing what you're seeing on the screen. That's pretty much it. Everything else is at a distance.
We have no other screens up here because we need the space for the drinks and the snacks. And a lot of lists, a lot of papers here that are not really helpful.
And again, you can see one of the best uses for those straw hats. Makeshift fans.
You might look like a rice farmer from Asia when you wear it. Well, at least they give you shade.
I think if you're walking around in this sunshine, you're glad of any kind of coverage.
Oh, yeah. I got half of my face burned off yesterday because I stood at the list like the whole day. Longsword, 5-on-5, longsword playoffs, 10-on-10. I think I didn't even sit down during the whole day.
Got to stand on the opposite side of the rails this time. Get the other side burnt to even it out. Getting ready for round 2.
Really curious how this is going to end. Good technique on both sides.
A very similar guard and a flurry coming out.
I think
But
there were
strike to the torso from Lara, but I think she might have taken a clean headshot as well. The Irish motto of Bear Bua being shouted out. In Old Irish, it means grasp victory.
very steady.
Polish things being shouted out in Polish. Sorry, I can't translate.
10
9
seconds.
seconds of the round now. All to play for as far as I can see. Could come down to this flurry.
So Ireland attacked fast in the last 10 seconds, but that might have cost her some points because I think Poland landed at least 3 shots.
I think there were some good shots in the last flurry. I'll have to see Lara look quite happy in the corner. I think she's just enjoying today. Whatever happens, she's done more than enough work. Longsword yesterday, and longsword is her preferred category. So she's got
Longsword.
nothing to prove.
Longsword is a super hard category. You get so many hits and you have nothing to block beside your body and the sword that you're using for hitting. So it's like, it's really exhausting, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, pretty tough going. Peter, who's competing for us in the men's longsword yesterday, he ended up with his hand looking overly inflated. It was pretty massive by the end of it from repeated shots. But thankfully, it's nothing more serious than a bit of swelling and a few cut fingers. Going for another round.
Third round.
Now, unless there were draws, I would give round 1 to Ireland and round 2 to Poland. Would you agree with that?
I agree, absolutely. Third round. I mean, I could watch those 2 ladies fight the whole day because
They're just
it's really amazing.
nice fighters. Nice movement. The stance where the shoulders are in front of the legs, leaning forward, so that the legs aren't as easy a target.
Distance.
Hopping back with the legs to pull them out of range when they need to move backwards. Halfway through the round already. They both tagged each other there.
I'm so thrilled I can't even say a word.
It's an enthralling fight. I think Lara might have taken a strong shot down the head there. Got through the guard. No obvious winner of that round. Hard to call. All you can do is get the visors up, try and cool them down and prepare for another round. Always be prepared to do one more if you have to.
Last fight of the group stage in the Sword and Shield nominations. The playoffs are going to be in the afternoon after Pool A of the 5-on-5 Buhurts. If we're in time and not out of the schedule, we should start with the playoffs of the Sword and Shield one-on-one competitions around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European time.
And I think we are more or less on schedule. We have 15 minutes ahead of our schedule and just have this one fight to finish off.
It's not finished yet.
It could drag on for 15 rounds. Sometimes fights do go on. I think the longest I've seen was, 8 rounds.
Wasn't that the longsword last year?
Longsword last year between Gauthier and Laurent. Luxembourg
Yes.
and Belgium.
Like, it went on forever. It's like all the other marshals were gone already. It's like
Sun was setting and it went dark.
and another.
The
round.
swords rusted away.
I think
The sun burnt out
they had
and the fight kept going.
they had to switch the marshal teams because the marshals got tired. Did you just break the tower? Oh, it's helmet off.
So we've got a decision
have a
one way or the
decision.
other.
The victory goes to
Drum roll. Poland.
Poland. Takes the victory of
Good
the last
victory
final.
for Poland. A great match.
It's all right.
It was only an alright match for you.
Ah, it's all right. It was a really good match.
They can both be proud of that. Lara can be very proud of her performance there. Poland delighted with the win. And it's great to see both the fighter and her corner looking so pleased.
So I think we're now heading for our lunch break. We already hear the
Fanfare coming on,
music.
the lunch bell.
Everyone's storming from the tribunes down to the food tent. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the live feed. Doesn't matter if you watch it on mute or with our commentating.
Much better with the commentating.
I had a lot of fun up here. I think the fighters had a lot of fun down there. I don't know how you're thinking about it, but that was a good day so far.
And it's only really getting started. So we'll be back at about 1:45. 1:45. So in about
5 on 5.
just under an hour's time, we'll be back on air for the 5v5s.
It's Pool A on the 5v5, 1:45. Thank you very much for listening and thank you very much for watching.
I'll see you soon.